The latest shocking twist in The Bold and the Beautiful sends fans into a whirlwind of emotion and suspense as Steffi Forrester finds herself facing one of the most heart-wrenching moments of her life. Steffi, who has already endured countless tragedies and challenges, is about to face the unthinkable. Her beloved son, Hayes, is gravely ill, and his life hangs in the balance. The emotional roller coaster begins when Steffi comes home to find Hayes unconscious on the couch, his small body surrounded by blood. The sight of her son lying lifeless on the couch sends Steffi into a panic, believing the worst, that Hayes has passed away. Her world shatters in that moment, and she holds her son, overcome with grief and disbelief, as she tries desperately to wake him up. In her mind, she can't fathom losing him. But as she clings to her son in agony, Steffi's maternal instincts kick in, and she soon realizes that Hayes is still alive, though unconscious. The relief is short-lived, however, as Steffi rushes her son to the hospital, where the gravity of the situation becomes all too clear. Hayes is in serious danger, and the doctors have a diagnosis that no mother should ever have to hear. Once at the hospital, Steffi's worst fears are confirmed. The doctors inform her that Hayes has been diagnosed with leukemia, a deadly form of cancer that threatens to take away the very person Steffi loves most in the world. The news leaves Steffi reeling as she grapples with the brutal reality that her son's life is in jeopardy. She holds the test results in her hands, her heart breaking as she stares at the words that tell her the truth. Hayes is sick, and the road ahead will be long and uncertain. The doctors explain the severity of the situation, telling Steffi that Hayes needs a bone marrow transplant in order to have any hope of surviving. The search for a matching donor becomes the family's only hope, but time is running out. The urgency of the situation is overwhelming, and Steffi is faced with the impossible task of finding a donor who can save her son's life. In the midst of this devastating news, Finn, Hayes' father, tries to offer some comfort and support. He is as devastated as Steffi, but he also knows that there is something he can do to help. Finn, who has always been a loving and dedicated father, offers to donate his bone marrow to Hayes, willing to do anything to save his son. However, the situation takes another cruel turn when the doctors run the necessary tests on Finn to see if he is a suitable match. The results are a blow to the family's hopes. The doctors inform Steffi and Finn that Finn is not a match, and he is not medically suitable to donate his marrow to Hayes. The news is like a punch to the gut, leaving Steffi feeling as though the walls are closing in. She watches as Finn struggles with the devastating reality that he cannot save their son. Finn's determination to help his child is unwavering, but the doctor's verdict leaves him powerless in the face of the overwhelming odds. With Finn's ability to help taken away, Steffi is left with only one option: Luna Nozawa. Luna, who has been a distant and somewhat sinister presence in the background of the story, is now the only hope for Hayes' survival. Luna's connection to the Forrester family is tangled, and her past actions have been anything but kind, but her role as a potential bone marrow donor is a cruel twist of fate that Steffi is now forced to confront. Luna is the last hope for Hayes' survival, and Steffi must now decide whether to plead with the woman who has caused so much harm in their lives to save her son. Steffi, in desperation, turns to Luna. She is faced with the impossible task of asking Luna to make a sacrifice that could save her son's life. The emotions are raw and painful as Steffi must swallow her pride and beg Luna for help. Luna, who has shown herself to be a complex character with her own agenda, is not an easy person to approach. Her motivations are often driven by her own desires and past wounds, making her a difficult person to trust. Steffi, however, is willing to do whatever it takes to save Hayes, even if it means humbling herself before someone who has caused them so much turmoil. The situation is fraught with tension, as Steffi tries to navigate the delicate line between pleading for Luna's help and dealing with the resentment and anger that she feels toward her. The question becomes, Will Luna be willing to make the ultimate sacrifice for a child she has never truly cared for? Can Steffi's desperate plea for help break through Luna's hardened exterior and convince her to step forward as the bone marrow donor that could save Hayes' life? Luna's decision will have far-reaching consequences for everyone involved. If Luna agrees to donate her marrow to Hayes, it will not only save his life, but also alter the dynamics between her and the Forrester family. The act of donating bone marrow is a profound one, and the emotional weight of it cannot be underestimated. However, the question remains whether Luna will be moved by Steffi's plea or whether her own motivations will cloud her judgment. Will Luna see this as an opportunity for redemption, or will she remain indifferent to the suffering of Steffi and her family? As Steffi faces the hardest decision of her life, she is forced to confront the reality that Luna holds the key to her son's survival. In the end, Luna's response will determine not only Hayes' fate, but also the future of her relationship with the Forresters. This storyline promises to be one of the most emotionally charged and intense arcs in recent memory, with fans eagerly anticipating whether or not Hayes will survive his battle with leukemia and whether Luna will choose to save him. As the drama unfolds, one thing is clear: Asterisk the Bold and the Beautiful Asterisk will keep its audience captivated with twists and turns, heartache and hope, as Steffi fights to save her son's life against all odds. Will Luna step up and make the ultimate sacrifice, or will Hayes' fate be sealed by the decisions of others? Only time will tell, and the tension continues to build as the drama reaches its boiling point. The drama in The Bold and the Beautiful intensifies further as Luna Nozawa agrees to donate her bone marrow to Hayes, but with a chilling and manipulative condition. Steffi, desperate to save her son's life, is stunned when Luna demands something that could change the Forrester family dynamics forever. Luna's condition is clear: Finn must accept her as his daughter and forge a connection with her before she will agree to the donation. This demand comes as a shock to Steffi, who is already struggling with the emotional weight of the situation. Luna, ever the cunning manipulator, knows that her offer of salvation comes with strings attached, and she is willing to use Hayes' life as leverage to get what she wants. Steffi is horrified by Luna's ultimatum. The very idea of Finn accepting Luna as his daughter after everything that has transpired between their families is unbearable to her. Luna's past actions, her twisted motives, and her sinister influence over their lives make the proposition seem impossible. Steffi's maternal instincts are at odds with her deep sense of betrayal. The thought of Finn, who has been her rock throughout Hayes' illness, becoming emotionally connected to Luna is too much for her to bear. However, as the doctors continue to urge Steffi to act quickly, she faces the overwhelming reality that Hayes' condition is worsening by the day. The bone marrow transplant is the only hope for her son's survival, and Luna is the only viable donor left. Time is running out, and Steffi is caught in a terrible dilemma. Faced with the prospect of losing Hayes, Steffi is forced to make a heartbreaking decision. She reluctantly agrees to Luna's terms, hoping that this will be the only time she will ever have to endure such a compromise. Finn, who is equally devastated by the situation, is put in an impossible position. His love for Steffi and Hayes is unconditional, but the thought of connecting with Luna, a woman who has caused them so much pain, is difficult to accept. Nonetheless, his love for his family compels him to do whatever it takes to save their son. He agrees to Luna's demand, albeit with immense reluctance, understanding that this is a necessary evil to give Hayes a chance at life. Luna's twisted victory has now been realized. She will donate the marrow, but at the cost of breaking apart the Forrester family dynamic. Steffi, though devastated, knows she has no other choice. She watches as Finn, with heavy heart, steps into the role that Luna has demanded of him. But as the marrow transplant procedure takes place, the emotional fallout for Steffi has only just begun. The weight of Luna's manipulation is not something that Steffi can easily forget. As the days pass, Steffi begins to wrestle with the consequences of her decision. The guilt and pain of accepting Luna into their family haunt her, and she begins to question whether she made the right choice. Despite knowing that Hayes is recovering, the feeling of betrayal lingers in her heart. Steffi can't shake the thought that she's allowed Luna to get closer to Finn, to intertwine herself in their lives in ways that feel impossible to undo. The relationship that Steffi has fought so hard to protect now feels tainted by Luna's presence. Steffi's frustration and anger grow as she watches Finn try to navigate his newfound relationship with Luna. The emotional distance between them begins to widen, as Finn, though doing his best to support Steffi, is emotionally strained by the decision. He wants to make Steffi happy, but his own discomfort with Luna's presence in their lives is becoming too much to ignore. The tension between Steffi and Finn increases, and their relationship begins to crack under the weight of the decision they both wish they had never had to make. One night, after a particularly heated argument with Finn, Steffi finds herself at a crossroads. She can't escape the feeling that their family is falling apart, and all because of Luna's manipulative demands. With her heart heavy, Steffi begins to entertain a dangerous thought. Maybe it's time to leave. The idea of running away, of taking Hayes, and leaving the turmoil of Los Angeles behind becomes a temptation that Steffi can't ignore. She imagines a life where she can protect Hayes from the people and circumstances that have caused them so much pain. In this fantasy, Steffi sees herself creating a new life for her son, one free from the shadows of Luna, the Foresters, and the constant drama that has defined their lives for so long. As Steffi struggles with these thoughts, the situation at home becomes more unbearable. Finn's growing attachment to Luna, though forced, is a constant reminder to Steffi of the price they've paid to save Hayes. Each moment of tension between them only deepens Steffi's feelings of isolation. She begins to question whether staying in Los Angeles is worth it, or if the pain and emotional cost are too great to bear. The turning point comes when Steffi is alone with Hayes, watching her son sleep peacefully after the successful transplant. She knows that Hayes' life has been saved, but at what cost? Steffi's heart is torn, as the love she feels for her son is overshadowed by the resentment building in her toward Finn and the Forrester family. The weight of the decisions she's made, and the life she's chosen to accept, feels like a burden she cannot bear. One evening, as the tension at home reaches a boiling point, Steffi finally makes her decision. Without informing Finn, she quietly packs her belongings and prepares to leave. Hayes, still recovering, is her only focus. As she gazes at her son one last time, Steffi knows that leaving Los Angeles and possibly Finn is the only way she can protect him. She makes the heartbreaking choice to disappear from the town that has defined her life for so long. But as Steffi quietly drives away from the Forrester estate, questions linger. Will Finn come after her? Will she regret leaving him and Hayes' connection to the Forrester family behind? The journey ahead is uncertain, and Steffi's decision to flee marks a new chapter in her life. However, the emotional scars of Luna's manipulation and the fractured relationship with Finn may not be so easily erased. Steffi's choice to run from everything she has known is a dramatic twist that will have lasting consequences. It's clear that while Hayes may have survived his battle with leukemia, the battle for Steffi's heart and her family's future is far from over. The fallout from her decision will haunt her for years to come, as she now faces an uncertain future with her son, far away from the only life she has ever known. The question remains, will Steffi ever find peace, or will the ghosts of her past and Luna's manipulations continue to haunt her wherever she goes?